Now, why do you call it that? Because I see that term. What's that mean?
Groyper, well, so you asked for one sentence. That's why I was trying to be brief. But the Groyper it's like a derivative of Pepe. It's this cartoon toad. And this is something that a lot of my followers use for their Avi, their profile picture on Twitter. And so it's inspired. It means, it's a grassroots, right-wing, internet, Zoomer, Generation Z movement. So that's why I use the word Groyper.
And that's what got Trump elected. So that's why they're so terrified of it.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we're the future. We're the next generation. We're coming.
Battle. Conservatives seek to stifle new alt-right movement. Fuentes rising. Malkin fired over support. Wow, that's up on DrudgeReport.com. And he joins us right now, Nick Fuentes, right here on the War Room with Owen Schroyer and Roger Stone, except Roger Stone's gagged and facing 20 to 50 years in prison for thought crime. So, again, who knows how long we'll be here. Seriously, the president rushed off to Bethesda Medical Center after his food taster started convulsing, we're told, and now that's being confirmed by other sources. They were testing the president to see if he'd been poisoned. My question is, why is there a news blackout on that? But going back to the subject at hand, what is your view? Then we're going to go to Nick Fuentes, who's kind enough to join us on this whole situation, Owen Schroyer.
Well, I think we've all kind of seen what people call conservative ink remove the mask, and it's really not conservative at all. It's really Republican ink. It's people who are in bed with the Republican Party. They probably get rich from the same people that the Republicans get rich off of. Okay. And so I think what you saw was really just lines drawn, and Nick Fuentes was kind of just the demarcation line. And then all at once, kind of like when they all social media networks banned you, Alex, it was like all at once, all the people in quote-unquote conservative ink, which I just think is Republican ink, came out against Nick Fuentes. Now, I wish we could all get along like you and really change this country together. And so I don't really like the infighting. But when one side starts to use the whole, oh, Nazis, oh, white supremacists, and then censor them for it, then there start to be some red flags.
That's right.
You have to address it.
Exactly. So let's flesh this out, because I disagree with some of the stuff I've seen Nick Fuentes say. That doesn't mean we call for him to be banned. It doesn't mean that we call him a Nazi. I don't think he's a Nazi. I was joking around when I said Nick Fuentes and Herman Goering are coming on with us. I mean, hell, Michelle Malkin's pro-Israel. So's Trump. Well, Fuentes has been a big Trump supporter. How now? I mean, are we going to ban Trump because somebody called him a Nazi? So, Nick, I got to tell you, we've been following this whole thing for a month or so. I know it's been going on longer. You're the guy to encapsulate this, kind of do a boil down of the trajectory of what made you do this, what you've been doing, them starting a few months ago or maybe longer ago. That's when I learned of it, trying to ban you and others from events, now trying to pre-screen questions. I mean, this is massive censorship. Trump signed an executive order, of course, saying if schools don't let people have free speech, they can get their funding pulled. So you head up America First. I mean, that's a great name. And you talk about total victory. So you've definitely got them scared of you, and Gorka and others are calling for you to be banned off of Twitter. Now Michelle Malkin's getting banned from things just for saying you shouldn't be silenced. So what really happened, and who are you?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. The past 3 weeks, I have been sort of spearheading this campaign to attend Charlie Kirk's events and other people in Republican Inc. People like Ben Shapiro, who I know you guys are not fond of. I'm not quite fond of him either. We've been sending young college students, America First, Trump supporting Christian college students to these events held by Republican Inc. And we've had them ask questions about how they really are patriotic on things like immigration, how they're Christian on social issues, how they're America First on foreign policy. So really, I see our efforts, our campaign, as something that's totally consistent with what the Republican Party claims to be about, or what Conservative Inc. claims to be about, which is free and open dialogue. And if they are America First, if they are conservative and nationalist like they claim to be, then there shouldn't be any problems. But since we started doing this, as you said, Sebastian Gorka, the ZOA, a number of organizations and individuals have responded to this by calling for me to be deplatformed from Twitter, from YouTube. Obviously, they just fired Michelle Malkin from YAF, the Young America's Foundation, this week. But actually, this was preceded by a massive purge throughout all of Turning Point USA and the Leadership Institute. This happened 2 or 3 weeks ago that when this first started at around Ohio State University's Turning Point event, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago, they actually instituted a massive purge of everybody within their organization who was even sympathetic to what we are doing, anybody even sympathetic to America First. So to me, what's troubling is that they are using all the same left-wing smear tactics, all the same deplatforming, hit jobs, and everything that the left has been doing for, probably something like 3 decades. And I agree with you. I don't like the infighting. I would love to fight the people on the left who are in favor of abortion and mass immigration and all these things. We tried to have a dialogue with Charlie Kirk, and now they're coming at us harder than they've ever gone after the left. And to me, I think that's the most troubling part about it.
Well, look at Reason. Young Americans Foundation excommunicates Michelle Malkin for defending Nick Fuentes. She defended your right to go to a college campus and walk up and ask a question. So now that means you're supporting Holocaust deniers, white nationalists, street brawlers, or racists. So what they're saying is anybody that fights back when Antifa attacks them, or anybody that basically doesn't agree with Charlie Kirk's view of the world. Now, I have seen a few clips of you, and we'll play some of these coming up next segment, that I know can be taken out of context. And I believe you have a right to do it. I don't think it's, tasteful, but that's your right. Doesn't mean we're in a cult here and they're going to try to get you banned. What's going on with Gorka when he tweeted out a few weeks ago the Cookie Monster thing with you talking about how many cookies Cookie Monster could bake?
Sure. So, on my show, part of what I do on my show is I respond to super chats. A super chat, for people that don't know, is during a YouTube live stream, a viewer can tip $2 or $3 or something. That's how I fund my show, by the way, is my viewers will give me small donations. A viewer sent me a $2 super chat, and they made a tongue-in-cheek joke using a very silly analogy to pretend to be a Holocaust denier, right? I mean, to sort of mess with the numbers. And this is a joke that Norm Macdonald has done before. This is just one of these shock jock type jokes, which many comedians I've seen have done this before. And so I read out the super chat. I carried on with the bit in a joking way. And when I finished, I said, by the way, this is all a joke. It's even in the clip. I say this is all ironic. It's all a joke. And in response to that, Sebastian Gorka got up on his moral high ground and said, this man is disgusting. He is a terrible Holocaust denier. And then, and this is the part which is troubling, because he has a right to say that my joke was in poor taste. Certainly. He has a right to take my joke out of context. I think that's dishonest, but he can do that on his platform. But then he said he tagged Jack Dorsey on Twitter, and he tagged Twitter and said, why does this person still have an account? Why is he verified, and why is he allowed on Twitter? And he later went on and said, oh, I'm not saying he should be banned. But, of course, then why would he tag Jack Dorsey?
Well, of course, so they're all joining in on purging people and then hoping they'll be the only voices. And then Gorka got banned on YouTube the next day. I mean, the man is a blavulating fool. He goes out and tries to pose shooting guns and at conservatives. And, I mean, when really he comes off like a big effeminate candy ass.
Yeah, I agree. He is a big effeminate candy ass. He's a big fella. He's a big fella, but I don't think there's anything really tough about submitting to a foreign nation and putting your country last. His show, he stole his show's name after mine. I was the original America First. His show is called America First, and he does a 5-hour show where he does 30 seconds of content, and then he takes a 3-minute bathroom break, and then it's 4 minutes of advertisement for pillows and other ridiculous things. So, yeah, I think that guy's a joke. I think everybody in Conservative Inc. who says they're in favor of free speech or America First, but doesn't do that in practice, I think they're a big fat joke, and that's why they're coming after me.
All right, now you just, because I don't even follow Gorka's stuff, I just see him acting tough and always calling me horrible names and calling me a horrible person when I got deplatformed. I get a lot of criticism as, working for Israel, because I'm not against Israel and I don't have a fetish, because, I mean, literally people obsess over it. The center of my universe is not Israel. I think Israel's got a lot of diverse, groups, people that support it, people that don't. So, but I mean, we'll flesh that out. What is we're going to go to break, but start getting started here. What is your view on Israel? Because obviously you're saying, I'm guessing you're saying Gorka supports Israel over the U.S.?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I've always maintained that I don't really have a problem with Israel. I'm not exactly anti-Israel. My view, like yours, is that the center of my world is the United States of America. And frankly, I'm tired of seeing all these different groups and people deliver speeches and have to say how much they love Israel and God bless Israel and all this stuff. Fine, that can be your personal belief. But my view is that we should just leave Israel alone, and they should leave us alone. I think we should pull out of the Middle East. I think we should stop with the foreign aid.
So you agree with Rand Paul?
Yeah, essentially, I would say my view is close to his.
Well, Trump's been trying to pull out of the Middle East.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's why I campaigned for Donald Trump in 2016. I support the president.
While letting Israel do whatever they want. They're their own country. I mean, that's my view of it. We'll be right back to play some of these clips.
Welcome back to the Infowars.com War Room. Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones, Owen Schroyer with you. Not Charlie Kirk, who got booed recently at an event because he wouldn't do a question and answer. Here is that clip.
By the way, when I told them that's Don Jr. being booed, but that's okay. When you're ready, done with that, guys, cue up the Charlie Kirk, please. Thank you. We'll go to that in a moment. But they're all getting booed at these events over and over and over again because people are legitimately angry that the universities have become these anti-free speech zones. And now they're just coming after everybody. So while we queue up the Charlie Kirk, just let me know when you guys get that. Let's go back to Nick Fuentes and just, I mean, this thing has really snowballed. This thing has really exploded. What do you think Charlie Kirk and all of them are thinking?
I think they're terrified. I think they know that Turning Point USA doesn't have the answers to our questions. These people were never Trump to begin with in 2016, and this is why they're shutting down our questions. You know, when I put this out on Twitter, they claim that leftists are evil, which they are. You know, they say that leftists support abortion, which they do. They claim that leftists support the most dangerous ideology, socialism, which has killed 100 million people, which they do. When a leftist comes and asks a question at one of these Q&As, they treat them so charitably, so kindly, so politely. You know, Charlie Kirk says, thank you so much for being here, and I just want to have a disagreement with you. We send our people to ask a question about legal immigration, which might be hurting our country or hurting our workers. We ask questions about foreign aid, and suddenly they treat us like we're the worst pariahs ever. They tell us, you know, they're the new Westboro Baptist Church. They tell us we're Holocaust deniers, white supremacists. And this is an act of desperation. I put this out on Twitter as well the other day that these are not the actions of a organization or a person that is confident in their views. You know that inside the organization, they must be terrified. I heard that they brought in a crisis management team. They're being directed to do all these different things to try and shore up their public image because I think donors are fleeing. The leadership is heading for the exits. The younger people are more interested in what I'm saying than what, you know, goofy Charlie Kirk is saying. His ideology is from, you know, the Heritage Foundation. So I think they must be absolutely shell-shocked and terrified.
Well, you know, for me, it doesn't matter if you are a Holocaust denier. You have a right to go to a university. You have a right to ask them questions. I'm not going to play all the videos here on air of you being escorted out, you being blocked, people they think are your supporters. They're now secret policing, trying to, I'm told, run people's IDs to find out who they are. This is everything we're running from the left. So, A, you say you're not a Holocaust denier, but if you were one, I mean, Michelle Malkin simply saying you have a right to free speech. That everybody has that in America. And then to see these groups turning against her and saying she supports Holocaust denials, it's all these extensions. Oh, she supports somebody's speech who they accuse of being a Holocaust denier, then automatically she gets fired. I mean, this is just a total capitulation to the censorship culture.
Absolutely. Well, and it's so funny. One of the people who was attacking me yesterday is somebody named Guy Benson from Fox News, who is essentially a homosexual liberal who mocks God with his marriage. But in any case, he went out yesterday and he tweeted out a clip from my show, maybe from 3 months ago or 4 months ago. And by the way, almost all my videos on my channel are private. You can't even find most of them because of hit jobs and also because people flag my videos for YouTube. But so somebody must have secretly saved this video when it aired, kept it in case I was going to pop off or go off on these people, and then sent it to Guy Benson, who probably doesn't even know me, so he could tweet it out so that people would get outraged and deplatform me, so that he could attack Michelle Malkin and have this guilt by association thing, and people would think that she's not credible, right? What's so funny about Guy Benson is 3 or 4 years ago, he publishes a book called End of discussion. How liberal outrage shuts down debate, shuts down free speech, and makes our country less fun. And so in every case with these people, number one, they were either never Trumpers in 2016, so they did the same thing to Donald Trump. You know, they said, oh, well, David Duke supports Donald Trump, so he's a racist. You know, these are all the conservatives that said this in 2016 from National Review or whatever. They're using the same guilt by association tactic against people like Michelle Malkin and people like myself. So number one, it's funny that they're never Trumpers. But number two, in almost every case, all of them have either written books or done college tours, or they go on Fox News, Fox and Friends in the morning, and they say how liberal college campuses are out of control. They're shutting down free speech. You know, this racist, white supremacist. We just want to make America great again.
Well, you're absolutely right that the hypocrisy is just beyond insane. And if they thought that getting Michelle Malkin fired, who's been pro-Israel, unless my memory's failing, is going to make everybody think we're all Nazis or you're a Nazi, anybody that Turning Point USA goes after, I mean, they already made Candace Owens basically resign. I know you know a lot of the inside baseball on that. Owen, this isn't going to go well. I mean, if they think suppressing Nick Fuentes in the last month blew up in their face, they just jumped the shark firing Michelle Malkin, getting her fired.
Well, here's what it comes down to me. This is Republicans versus conservatives. I've never claimed to be a Republican. I have no loyalty to the Republican Party. I think right now, as far as my vote is concerned, most of their ideals are more in line with mine and where I want to see the country go. But as far as party loyalty is concerned, I have absolutely none. And I think when I see and hear people like Charlie Kirk saying, or people standing up for Charlie Kirk, rather, saying, think about all Charlie Kirk has done for the Republican Party, or think about how much this person has done for the Republican Party. Well, I don't give a damn about the Republican Party. I care about America. So that's really what this comes down to. But beyond that, conservatives have serious questions and issues when it comes to
and we should be able to ask them. And they're painting, you follow the orthodoxy of Turning Point USA, or we're going to say you're a Nazi and get you deplatformed. And we're going to use Nick Fuentes as the poster child because he said a few off-color things to project onto everybody, including brown Michelle Malkin, who's pro-Israel. You didn't know she was actually wearing secret Hitler underwear?
Well, and I think, too, there's a level of kind of a last stand for Christians. You know, Nick, you're a younger guy, I think 21, correct?
Correct.
So, you know, you kind of remind me of myself when I was younger on really more of a Christian.
Look, it says she backs Holocaust denier. Hey, I don't think this guy's a Holocaust denier, but that doesn't, she didn't back him. She said, let him have free speech, damn it. But I'm sorry, I'm ranting.
Michelle Malkin's not on the take from the Republican Party, and that's what I think this really comes down to, is you're seeing the people that are in the club, whatever it is, the Republican Inc. club, they all came out the same day, just like the social media giants came out against you, Alex. They all came out the same day against Fuentes.
Let's go back to Nick Fuentes again. What really happened with Candace Owens? I mean, I know Paul Watson's friends with her, talks to her a lot. She says she didn't want to get into it. But, I mean, they basically made her resign saying she likes Hitler. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, they did the same thing to Candace Owens. She made, again, the same off-color remarks. And it's funny because they clipped one of those videos from my shows where I said that people are better off before the 1960s, right? Race relations were better off. You know, people got along better. The black family was doing better. And it's funny because she said the same kinds of things that I've been saying. You know, when she said, for example, what did she say? That Hitler was a globalist or something. And she said, you know, similar things about race, and they canned her because of those off-color remarks. And I'll say that Candace Owens is probably tougher, smarter, more conservative than Charlie Kirk. I think she must have been watching what's been going on for the last 3 weeks, and she must have been shaking her head watching Turning Point USA go into the garbage, you know, this heaping dumpster fire because of Charlie Kirk's feckless and weak leadership. So, yeah, no, it's just more of the same. And it's interesting because they did the same thing to Candace Owens that now they're doing to Michelle Malkin. You know, like you said, Michelle Malkin is not white. They call her a white nationalist. She's not even white. They say that she's backing a Holocaust denier. I'm pretty sure her husband is Jewish. You know, she's pro-Israel and everything. So it's all lies. It's all guilt by association. And this is how the system works. Like Owen said, if you're not part of the club, if you're not down with Turning Point USA, if you're not getting the money from the usual donors and the usual suspects, then they're trying to make an example out of you.
All right, Nick, I don't know if you can stay a little bit longer, but I want to get where you think this is going next, because this is huge. It's a fight for the heart and soul of the populist movement that the neocons and leftists that, decided there's more money in being a conservative have come in to kind of board the ship, take it over. They were never Trumpers. We know that. And now they're working with the media, the establishment media that's gleefully joining all of this, saying that they're going to go after anybody that doesn't submit to them. When these are the very people that undermined Trump originally, it's clear that I think he's working with the neocons somehow here. I mean, openly they're doing this. So we need to talk about where all of this is going when we come back with Nick Fuentes, right here on The War Room with Owen Schroyer, and his former co-host is gagged right now, facing 20 to 50 years in jail, Roger Stone. So that's where we are. But maybe we'll just call him a Holocaust denier and we can lock his ass up too. Here's the bottom line. It's very simple. They're using the same tactics, just like you guys were saying with the whole David Duke thing and Trump that was made up, against Trump's real base that they used against Trump 3 years ago. They can't get away with it with Trump, so they're running it against us. We'll be right back.
Nick Fuentes and his fans, they call the Groypers, have made it rough for Charlie Kirk as of late. Here's a video of Kirk having to endure the boo birds out on the street.
Yeah, get off the canvas, Minder. Chad continues.
So there's Charlie Kirk walking off campus there with Chants of America First and him hanging his head, which is really just too bad. Now, here's another clip, and it's too bad that this has to happen, too, of a Turning Point USA event with Don Jr. where the boo birds rang out.
And this is all because he was at a Turning Point USA event, or he didn't answer the questions that they wanted answered. And again, this is how dangerous it is that Trump's been taken over by the swamp. But he can only pull from the swamp, basically. And so the very same people that are in there, they all follow another tune, the deep state. They want jobs after Trump's gone, not Don Jr. So Nick Fuentes is here with us. We're going to break in a minute. It's only a 1 minute break. Some stations join us after this. But, Nick, I wanted to start fleshing this out because you're really the expert that's been in the middle of this. I don't think you smelled all this coming, but the way they responded, like leftists, this is going to, they have sowed the wind. They're going to reap the whirlwind, I think.
That's exactly right. And I've said throughout this whole thing, throughout this whole campaign by my followers to go to these Q&As or attend these events, is that the easiest and simplest way to defuse the situation is simply to engage with what we're saying. You know, the fact of the matter is that people like Ben Shapiro will deliver a 45-minute speech reading my old Facebook posts, reading out transcripts from my old videos, condemning me as alt-right. You know, he'll talk about me for 50 minutes without saying my name, without engaging on Twitter in a debate, anything like that. They'll take these questions, and instead of answering them with real substantive answers, trying to convince people that their vision of conservative Inc. is correct, they dismiss the questions, they attack the questioners, they fire them, they purge them, and so on. So, yeah, I think they are, as you say, reaping the whirlwind. I think they've made this much worse for themselves by using these left-wing tactics because everybody, you know, whether or not they agree with me, whether or not they think that what I'm saying is tasteful or not, they all agree, most conservatives agree that we are the party of free speech. We are the party of dialogue and free expression and all of this. And so when they go around firing people and doing guilt by association and this, you know, racist, white supremacist, soundbite, gotcha type smear, I think everybody agrees that that is disgusting. It's swamp behavior. Like you said, it's beyond the pale, unacceptable for conservatives.
Well, look at The Hill, look at CNN, look at, they all just know exactly what they're doing, working with Turning Point USA to then lump Don Jr. in with the Republican congressman with the eye patch from Texas, who's a leftist, and with Charlie Kirk, when Don Jr. is a good guy. And this is really hurting him. His alignment with them, even though he doesn't align himself, the media has aligned Don Jr. with them, which is really going to hurt him bad. People need to run from Turning Point USA. I've got to tell you, it is circling the toilet bowl. And the idea that Turning Point USA got Trump elected is asinine. Charlie Kirk saddled up, you know, after the campaign, came in, and because they spoke leftist talking points, they were allowed into the universities. They were allowed in everywhere. And now they want to be the acceptable conservative and supposedly have us, the libertarians and the constitutionalists and the nationalists and the Christians that got Trump in that coalition. They want us to step aside, crawl in the ditch, and die. And I think it's going to be them that are going to get thrown in the ditch here. We'll talk about it when we come back in 60 seconds. The War Room with the Lone Ranger. Owen Schroyer is here. His co-host is Roger Stone, a political prisoner, his speech already taken, facing prison time. So please remember, we don't get boosted by the establishment like Mr. Shapiro. We get put in prison.
If I take 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies and Cookie Monster has 15 ovens, working 24 hours a day, every day for 5 years, how long does it take Cookie Monster to make 6 million batches of cookies? I don't know. That's a good question. Certainly, oh, no. It doesn't really sound correct to me. Wait a second. It takes 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies, and you have 15 ovens, probably in 4 different kitchens, right? Doing 24 hours a day, every day for 5 years. How long would it take you to make 6 million? I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be 5 years, right? The math doesn't seem to add up there. The math doesn't quite seem to add up there. I don't think you'd result in 6 million, maybe 200 to 300,000 cookies. And I think the Red Cookie Association said something like that, probably 200 to 300,000 cookies baked, probably. And in addition, you know, in this hypothetical, I imagine that if you took aerial photographs over the kitchens, you would need to see certain smokestacks to release the smoke from baking the cookies, and the smokestacks would project certain shadows, but I guess they're not visible in the aerial photographs taken over the kitchens. Moreover, if you look at the soil texture, it's really not deep enough for mass cookie storage underground. And so there's a lot of things. You know, in the cookie kitchen, they say that the ovens are wooden and they have windows on them and they're not totally secure. And the ovens that they use, they actually did sort of an ad hoc use of that particular kind of oven, even though they made a perfectly good design for ovens for a different purpose, for delousing. I mean, you know, for something else. So none of it really adds up. I don't know. It just kind of doesn't really make sense, this crazy cookie analogy. You have to be, that's sort of an esoteric story. That's from Cookie Right. You wouldn't understand that if you just sort of...
All right, folks, you know, here's what I get from World War II. World War II was a big nightmare, a big mess. And I don't know, 70 million people conservatively died in it, and Hitler was anti-Jewish and did round up and arrest a bunch of Jews and kill them, and George Soros helped do it and said it was the best time of his life. He called it happy-making time. And so I guess he would have actually been Cookie Monster along those lines. Now, certainly, it was the Soviets first put out the idea that Auschwitz killed 6 million people and that so many people were killed this way, and then it became a big argument about how was it done there. Was it 6 million total or 6 million there? And then it's not 6 million at Auschwitz, now it's 6 million total. And so there's this whole thing where you're not supposed to question any of that. I find it to be a big red herring. I find it to be a rabbit trail. I don't like Hitler, and I've read the writings of Hitler, and, you know, he did do a lot of horrible things and did kill a lot of people, Poles, Jews, you name it. And I don't like what happened in World War II. Both my grandfathers almost died in World War II in the Army Air Corps. Both of them almost didn't make it back. Almost don't exist because of that war and Hitler and all the rest of it. I understand that he's reading some of the things that people are saying up there on screen. That's, you know, part of the whole deal. That's his right to do it. And it's your right to take from that what you will. You know, Gorka can put out what Nick Fuentes said and go, this man's the worst person ever. Other people have just talked about what he said, and then they go, oh, my God, you're backing white supremacists. I have no doubt they'll say Jones airs, you know, white supremacist Holocaust denial. Well, did Gorka do that? Tweeting it out? That's, you know, Michelle Malkin simply says Nick Fuentes has a right to go to these public events and ask questions. You know, she's getting blackballed now, you know, because she's married to a Jewish guy and is pro-Israel. That's now what you do when you're for Hitler. So there's a very dangerous extension. And so I wanted to ask Nick Fuentes here on the War Room other things he'd like to add or where he thinks all this is going next, because they're trying to make you the poster child of the alt-right. I didn't really know you described yourself as alt-right. Maybe you do. But the alt-right, like Charlottesville, was mainly a bunch of you know, homosexual leftists dressing up like Nazis who'd all formerly worked for Obama or Hillary, part of their art club. And then they lured a bunch of reporters there and some real white supremacists so the police could stand down and collide them into the Folks, I pointed out that some of the same leftist foundations are funding the white supremacists that are funding real white supremacists in Ukraine. I got sued for that, even though it's, they tried to say that I said some cameraman killed the girl. I didn't say that the cameraman killed them. I said it was all part of leftists coming out to come to this big event and hope there was some big crisis out of it to demonize the right in general and tie us to Nazis. But that's ongoing in Charlottesville. You're not supposed to question those things. They didn't call me a Nazi for saying George Soros had financed Antifa to show up. But they certainly are trying to take me off the air. So this is very, very authoritarian. I don't see any Nazis, real Nazis, trying to take me off the air. I just see a bunch of leftists at the Southern Poverty Law Center and the ADL, and now joined by Turning Point USA and Gorka and these supposed barons of thought control that I find to be very, very dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because you bring up that clip, and you're right. Now they're trying to paint me as alt-right too, white supremacist, Holocaust denier. I do a show. I just celebrated my 500th episode of my show last week. So I've probably done something like 1,000 hours of content. And my show is about America first. It's about immigration. It's about politics. It's about current events.
Sure. So people are going to cherry pick things out of context to try to make that your identity. Just like I barely ever talked about Sandy Hook, but Hillary said I'm the Sandy Hook guy. They did all this national coverage of it, so now I'm the Sandy Hook guy. Like I'm the gay frog guy. I read a report out of a major scientific study saying the male frogs are turning gay, literally wanting to have sex with males. I now become the gay frog guy.
Yeah, and in that case, you were actually right. I mean, you were actually right about that. But that's how it works. That's how it works. No matter what you do, you could do 1,000 hours of content, whatever. You talk about something that they don't like one time, and that's what they use to sort of meme you, make you go viral in a negative way so that people don't want to associate. But fundamentally, it's really neither here nor there. Like you said, it's a red herring. That's exactly right. It's a rabbit hole that you really don't want to go down, because it's not really about the Holocaust. It's like, oh, really? We're bringing that up. It's not really about World War II. It's about why Charlie Kirk doesn't want to answer questions about legal immigration. And that's why we have to sort of control the frame. This started because young people, college students who are clutching rosaries, they're Christians, wearing MAGA hats, they're Trump supporters. They came to Charlie Kirk's event and they said, you say you're for America, you say you're conservative. Why do you support, for example, the F-1 visa program that allows Chinese aristocrats to buy their way into our country? Why do you support mass legal immigration? And so because I was seen as perhaps a spiritual leader of this or a cheerleader, this was inspired by me, they have singled me out. They've taken 30-second clips from my show, and they've now made it about something that happened 80 years ago.
And now they're going to try to label mainline Christian conservatives as Nazis, and it's going to blow up spectacularly.
Right, and that's the big mistake that they made, is they probably could get away with smearing me, because not a lot of people want to defend me because I say things that are controversial and off-color. But they go after Michelle Malkin, who has 2 million followers on Twitter, was a highly respected veteran of the America First movement. She's been on the block. She's been around the block. She's been on the scene for a long time. They made a big mistake by going after her. I think it's hubris. They think Charlie Kirk, this control freak, and all these people at YAF, they think that they can contain all of this, that they can blacklist somebody like Michelle Malkin and everybody else will fall in line.
By the way, Nick, I couldn't even find out how she supported you. I think she just said, hey, they should let everybody speak at colleges. That just sounds like supporting America.
Exactly, right. Her speech at UCLA, which you could go and find the transcript, it's an amazing speech. And fundamentally, it's a speech about immigration and about conservatism. But in the speech, she makes a passing remark, a drive-by remark where she says Nick Fuentes is a leader in the new right. And he has a right to speak his mind. There was a drive-by remark that simply said, like you said, I have a right to speak my mind. I have a right to free speech. And also, I think in a way, she ignored some of the spears. She said, they say he's a certain way, but I think he's a rising leader. So all she did was not participate in the smear. She didn't call me white supremacist, Holocaust denier, should be shut down. And like you said, by virtue of her refraining from participating in the smear as opposed to backing, supporting, people on Twitter put in their bio, they say, retweets are not endorsements. In other words, just because you say a certain thing about somebody doesn't mean you endorse every
I know. Sometimes even on Infowars.com or whatever, I will post like an article by Walter Cronkite calling for world government, what he wrote in the 80s. People go, why are you posting what Walter Cronkite says? I was literally like 14 years old at the mall buying Mein Kampf because they were always telling me about Nazis were everywhere and Hitler, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, well, I'll read what Hitler said. I went and got Mein Kampf. It's hard read, really a lot of weird crap. Until he wrote it, he was half awake in prison. And the woman said, are you a Nazi? when I was buying the book, and I was 14, I remember saying, well, you're the one selling the book. Are you a Nazi? And the woman started laughing, but it's like, I had blonde hair back then. It's turned brown, blue eyes. And I mean, to this woman, she's like, oh my God, she was white too. But, you know, it's like, no, because I'm buying a book doesn't mean I'm for Hitler. But Nick Fuentes is our guest. Owen Schroyer's here. He's being very quiet right now. So we'll find out what he thinks on the other side with Nick Fuentes. And we're going to open the phones up. He's ready to stay with us the rest of the hour till the show ends. So we're going to open the phones up for your chance to talk to a rising new right leader or the second coming of Adolf Hitler. I got to say, here on the War Room with Owen Schroyer, that this is crazy. Now, I haven't been in this studio in a while, and are you using the same number? I do watch the show. I just don't pay attention to that. Are you using the same number that I use during the day for your show?
Believe so, 877-789-2539.
Oh, my gosh. Has that caller been holding since the start of the show?
Yes.
Okay, that is not a disrespect. That is that so much is going on around here that I forgot that I said transfer calls from my show because I felt bad I was going to come over and co-host, and then no one reminded me. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm explaining this disrespect to the listeners, and we didn't go to them. Did you go to those other callers?
No, we have not taken calls today.
Did anybody tell you that I had the callers transferred over to you?
Nope.
All right, I'm going to do a tour here where I'm one day a week, I'm going to start hosting all the shows because I love the crew. I love everybody to death. But, man, there's like a communication thing that goes on where show to show, like I said, tell Salente I'm coming in, and I'm going to do the part of the last segment. Nobody told him. I go sit down, and I couldn't take over because he was already on air. I wasn't going to bull in, but it's everybody I know. It's not just here. No one is talking anymore. People will send a text message like that does it, and it doesn't do it. So these poor people got transferred over and then left on hold all this time. We're going to go back to Nick Fuentes, but we'll see if she and Marilyn, who held an hour on my show, 2 hours and 19 minutes here, I bet it's damn important. And the whole Trump health scare, because we have to do this now, is I was about to give the number out. And then I looked up there, and it's just devastating. So they followed the directive to get the poor callers all over here. I apologize to the callers. And, yeah, you have to understand, folks, I'm up here 7 days a week, and I'm working hard, I tell you. And I'm going to step up, and I'm going to work harder, and I'm going to take us to the next level. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Hell, I noticed the caller. See what I mean? I mean, because I'm the bad guy, see? That's how it works. Wow. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just blown away. We've got to start getting rundowns and stuff just to communicate. Does that make sense, Owen?
Yeah.
I apologize. You've been on hold for 3+ hours. You're on the air. Go ahead.
All right. No problem. I'm laughing. I'm not taking offense. Wow. I'm able to listen into your podcast, and so I've enjoyed the whole time I've been on hold. I fixed my husband dinner, and everything's good on my end. But I wanted to say your staff was very courteous. They were very polite, and they did give me the option to hang up, and they said that I would be the first. No. I'm
not mad at them. I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at them. I was just like, get these callers on. We're going to these first out of the gate, and then I guess I just, my God. But, ma'am, when we're going to Nick Fuentes, too, so we appreciate him holding. Won't leave him on hold for 3 hours. Just go ahead and make your point. Thank you.
Okay, my point is, first of all, I want to say long live Alex Jones. I've been listening to your show for at least over a decade. I was seeking out the truth. Things were happening in my life, and I just was seeking out the truth on my own accord. And I came across your show, and, of course, that was the time when Eustace Mullins was living. So you had him on your show. You remember Eustace Mullins?
Oh, my gosh. He hadn't been on the show in like 15 years. Yeah, he died like 12 years ago.
Yeah, he died before I moved to this the DMV area. I'm originally from Kansas. So I was going to meet him I think he died the same year I moved out to this area. But I just want to thank you for all that you do to stand up for our liberties as Americans. the work that you put in 7 days a week, round the clock. I know what a tremendous sacrifice you make, and that we as Americans appreciate everything you do. And it is a travesty what they're doing with the President Trump. I can't say I was a Republican, lifelong Republican ever, but what's going on with Trump has really awakened my eyes to the deep state. And you were mentioning about the Ronald Reagan in your last segment about how they attempted assassination on his life. And that was true. It was John Hinckley, who was, his father was best friends with the elder Bush Sr., and it's kind of ironic that John Hinckley would be the one to make the assassination attempt, and no one ever was the wiser. And then he was sentenced to going to St. Elizabeth as opposed to, going to a federal prison for such an attempt. But I think it's a terrible thing as far as if indeed they did attempt to poison the president, and the vitriol and the evil sentiment against him, because he is our commander-in-chief and he deserves respect.
Wow. Well, that was worth the 3 hours. And again, the crew's great. It gives me an example of just so much is going on, the minutia. Imagine the bureaucracy that wants to centralize everything, where they don't even have an idea what's happening to people like the old King of England ruling over the colonies. And they'd have to get a decision from him like every 2 years or something before anything can be done. That's in the Declaration of Independence, like having to wait for the king to do something. This awesome lady holding for 3 hours with her husband while she's cooking dinner with us on the background. So you're awesome. And by the way, is it she, S-H-I? Is that how you pronounce that?
It's actually Shy, S-H-I.
Shy. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm starting a show with our best callers, and we're putting them in the hat, and we've only done one show. We're going to start it soon. But if you want to give us your name and number, holding 3 hours, I'd love to let you host a Saturday or Sunday show sometime. It's just going to be rotating for 3 hours. You can run the whole show. Really smart lady, she. And so please, if you want to give us your name and number, we'd love to have you as a co-host sometime. And if you guys can give her name and number, because her holding that long, that's a record. We need to give her number to the producer tomorrow and call her back and get her on the show, and I won't forget. So God bless you, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. And I would love to co-host your show. That would be the greatest honor.
Well, you're a smart lady. You sound awesome. I'd love to come over to your house with dinner with you and your husband. You're awesome. God bless you, she. Going back to Nick Fuentes, that's a humbling caller right there. And the lines are loading up. People want to talk to Nick Fuentes. 877-789-ALEX, 877-789-ALEX. I just looked up and saw that one caller from my show, and I was like, my God, is that the same calls? What the hell's going on here? But you notice they're so nice. They're like, are you still on holding? You sure you want to hold? So the crew's really nice and polite. They're awesome. Most talk radio is real rude. What do you want? But this is like talk radio on TV. But Nick, we're sorry to have you hold for 10 minutes, but we're about to go to break, so please stay with us and take a few minutes of calls. But briefly, if you had to use just one sentence to describe it, what's coming after this attempt to use leftist authoritarianism on the Republican Party? I mean, that's all this is, and conservatives and Christians. This attempt to brand this third column inside Trump's administration, because that's what Turning Point is. They're in the administration, really, to brand everybody else that doesn't do what they say as Nazis. This is going to blow up. I mean, it already has.
Yeah, I agree. I'll just say that they can't stop America first. The Groyper wars will continue.
Now, why do you call it that? Because I see that term. What's that mean?
Groyper, well, so you asked for one sentence. That's why I was trying to be brief. But the Groyper it's like a derivative of Pepe. It's this cartoon toad. And this is something that a lot of my followers use for their Avi, their profile picture on Twitter. And so it's inspired. It means, it's a grassroots, right-wing, internet, Zoomer, Generation Z movement. So that's why I use the word Groyper.
And that's what got Trump elected. So that's why they're so terrified of it.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we're the future. We're the next generation. We're coming.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first.
It's just the war for America. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
Absolutely. I need to plug my wire in here so I can get my orders from Russia.
Yeah, it's just the war for freedom.
Oh, wait, it's not Russia. It's Ukraine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, seriously, we got loaded phone lines here for Nick Fuentes here on the War Room with Owen Schroyer. But I want to just ask you, Owen, it's your show. What do you think's coming next with, really, I think, the Never Trumpers, the neocons, and others that just want to appease the authoritarian left. This is obviously directed ahead of the never-Trumpers turning against Trump when they try to take him out as well. They all think Trump may be taken out back just a month or so ago when they thought the impeachment was, just absolutely going to happen. And so they're all positioning themselves right now to go back to kind of the National Review type angle where they're the loyal opposition.
Well, and the Republican Party will kind of just act like, oh, yeah, Trump never really happened. They'll just kind of like wipe Trump away like he never really happened, and then the same Republican establishment will be there. But actually, Alex, my biggest fear is, and you were alluding to this earlier, I think that the left wants to see things get hot. And for a moment there, I think that was in response to what they're seeing from just the average conservative out there. They're fed up with the Adam Schiffs. They're fed up with the corruption of the Nancy Pelosi. So I think them kind of trying to say, oh, we need to be peaceful. We need to be peaceful. That's, like you said, them kind of putting their guard down before they either kill Trump or launch some sort of hot offensive. But the problem is you'll have people like InfoWars and Nick Fuentes and others who will tell the real story. Then you'll have Republican Inc. that will go along with the mainstream narrative, not question anything, and say, oh, how dare you question it. So that'll be kind of the real, I think, fracture point if we get there in the next year. And I would suspect there's going to be something before the 2020 election that's going to send us in that direction.
One thing's for sure, we're in a very, very dangerous time historically, and a lot of big changes are afoot. But Nick Fuentes, before we go to these phone calls, other points you'd like to make about this ongoing saga, because obviously you were on the show a couple weeks ago, and I said this is going to blow up even bigger as they try to censor more. They don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that. But now that they've gotten Michelle Malkin fired, they're calling her a white supremacist. I mean, they are out MSNBCing MSNBC. This is just going to be absolutely crazy. And Don Jr. and Trump and others need to distance themselves from the rotting carcass that is Gorka and Turning Point USA and the rest of it, because attempting to project anything you've done out of context or whatever on to Christendom and on to conservatives that really don't want to be boarded by the left and the neocons is the exact thing I would do if I wanted to make people rebel and undermine Trump. I mean, this is not a good idea.
I agree. I agree completely. I think that Donald Trump's administration has been under siege from day one, not only by the left, obviously, in the deep state, but also by this unrelenting campaign by Conservative Inc., or as Owen says, by the Republicans. I agree. The Republican Party is terrible. It's people like Mitch McConnell. It's Reince Priebus and people like Johnny DiStefano, who doesn't really get mentioned. These are the people that filled up the White House during the transition between the campaign and the inauguration. They filled up the whole White House with Rubio campaign alums, Ted Cruz campaign alums, people from the Bush administration, people from the Romney campaign. And so it's no small wonder why you see the president's agenda being subverted even within his own White House. And I'll say that Charlie Kirk is the epitome of that. He is as swamp as it gets. And we don't know everything about Charlie Kirk. I know some things about Charlie Kirk. This guy goes all the way to the top in terms of being a part of the swamp, being a part of the globalist elite. And so I think people like Don Jr., they have to look at the event that he had at UCLA and ask himself, who is he with? Is his allegiance with the people like myself that campaigned for him in 2016, the people that were America First, that were not Never Trump, the people that did not call Donald Trump a racist and so on? Or is he with Charlie Kirk? And is he with all these people in the administration who have been subverting him from the beginning? I think that was a very telling moment for people in the administration. I think they saw some of the dissatisfaction from the people that turned out in 2016 in that campaign for him.
And that's important because Trump came out, a month ago and said, I want to know who the Never-Trumpers are and I want them out of my administration. Well, Ben Shapiro and all these people who hate your guts are endorsing Kirk, and they're telling us this is who you're supposed to be. This is who you're supposed to accept. And because they can't undermine you, they're undermining your real base and helping the media call your base Nazis. And all the Christians and conservatives and people going to these events that are pissed off need to see some action. I want to do one more thing and then take these calls quickly. Frank and Fred and Jordan and Marcos and Matthew and Adam and Carlo, I want to get to at least those callers quickly with you. But just, wow, we should also be celebrating the pedophilia coming out, the whole Epstein thing imploding, and ABC caught in that, and all the Project Veritas bombshells, and just all this good news that's out there. But if the neocons can get conservatives on board with censorship, instead of Trump not doing anything, we could have the Republicans joining in on the censorship to prove to the left they're routing the Nazis, which is made up.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. It's pretty sad to see. A lot of people that I know who were with Trump from the beginning, they call in some ways this administration, it's a lot of missed opportunities. I think we could achieve good things on immigration. I think we could achieve the America First agenda. But you're right, it is these Shapiros and Kirks of the world that are holding us back. And for what it's worth, Ben Shapiro's not Christian. I think that's a very important thing to consider. Ben Shapiro's not a Trump supporter. They call they say I'm hijacking the Trump agenda. I'm hijacking the Trump sort of brand by calling myself America First or whatever. Hijacking. I've been a Christian. I've been a confirmed Catholic since I was 13. I volunteered for the Trump campaign. I went door knocking in New Hampshire for the Trump campaign.
No, we understand that. Yeah. I mean, this is basically just the establishment Republican, Heritage Foundation folks who just think they own the country. Frank calling in. Here, it says, I guess Frank's calling from Kavanaugh, wherever that is. Frank, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Alex, thanks for taking my call, and Owen and Nick. I want to say this: that right now we need to thank Charlie Kirk, because what they're doing is they're uncloaking themselves as globalists. Charlie Kirk, Shapiro, Rubio, Romney, those are all globalists, and Nick Fuentes and the Groypers and Trump. InfoWars, everyone listening to you guys right now, we're all nationalists. And so we have to remember that globalists, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, for decades has owned both the Democrats and the Republicans. And Trump came in and took over their party, and all of those globalist Republicans are still there. And we need to take notice of all that and call them out and let Don Jr. know. These guys are globalists. Charlie Kirk is a globalist, and he showed himself when he didn't back up Candace Owen. That was it.
Well, you can't back up Hitler because she said Hitler was a globalist, not a nationalist. Hitler wanted a global empire of the Reich. He had the EU plan. That's globalist. Globalist means imperial. Globalist means the globe, world domination. What are we going to do today? Same thing we do everything, Pinky. Conquer the world. I mean, because she said that, my gosh, that's Nazi. This black conservative's a Nazi. She said Hitler's a I mean, what? I mean, it's just unbelievable. And Frank, I miss you. A lot of folks are. I see a lot of the guests on the show. They remind me. I've seen you on the show. You're one of the guests on the show. I thought Kavanaugh was a country or something.
Not yet. But Alex, we need to look at the fact that these people are exactly the same as Nancy Pelosi. Rubio is exactly the same. McCain, who everyone loves, and his daughter's all out bashing the president, he was a globalist just like Nancy Pelosi. And now they're showing themselves. They're showing themselves because they're using the same tactics. And anyone.
No, I agree. I mean, I just can't believe the arrogance because Charlie Kirk and Gorka, showing their ass. I remember Gorka attacking me when I got deplatformed and saying horrible things about me that weren't true, trying to get brownie points and stuff. But then I saw him do a big gun shoot where he was like a James Bond woman, like this, posing with guns. And I'm just like, my God, if anybody ever sees me acting like that, please put me in a mental institution because there's just something about these guys. Listen, I'm not against gay people. Okay, I want to be clear. I'm a little more libertarian than some of the conservatives. I just don't want to. But Gorka, Brian Stelter looks like a pedophile. I'm not saying he's a pedophile. Gorka looks like a big fat gay guy. I'm just saying.
So you're saying you were at a bubble bath party, and
I saw Gorka the gay whale.
It wasn't.
Marco Rubio was riding the gay whale.
It wasn't a narwhal.
No, I'm seriously. Now listen, guys. I'm just being silly. Gorka really takes himself so seriously, and. So it's just hilarious watching him run around in those little three-piece suits and everything and act tough and run around so that a guy like him would not want to be known as Gorka the gay whale. I'm just telling you, he doesn't want that name to stick. I'm just saying, man. I've been up here too long. I'm having too much fun. We have Nick Fuentes on the line here with us, and we're taking phone calls right here on the War Room. A lot of big stories at Infowars.com and Newswars.com. And that's not fair, Nick. You know, I like memes. I like being made fun of myself. And I think, what is a good nickname for Gorka? Gorka the whale that eats free speech, or Gorka, like a giant Godzilla? Gorka the speech destroyer. I mean, what would you call Gorka?
That's a good question. I've heard Gorka's orcas before, sort of playing off the idea of a whale. He's a fat guy. I like what you said, the big gay whale. I think that's very fitting because you're right. He's a big mutton-headed. I described him as a mutton-headed prostitute on Twitter. But yeah, I think that sort of encapsulates the whole thing. He's a big gay whale. Yeah, imagine being so triggered. You know, are you triggered, Sebastian Gorka, by a little free speech, by a little free thinking, some schmooting? So, yeah, I like Big Gay Whale. I think that's probably the best one.
Because he does kind of sashay around and dainty. When he was acting like he's going to beat somebody up, he kind of has this, guys, go to me real quick. He kind of, when he's going to beat somebody up, he kind of goes like this. Here, he just kind of goes. And so, you know, he's a very intimidating person. Are you scared of him?
No, I can't say that I am. The three-piece suits, you know, they almost got me with the three-piece suits. Like you said, he was a very fancy man, very fancy pants. Of course, he, I believe, has citizenship in the United Kingdom with that fake British accent. So, yeah, the fake British fancy pants accent, the three-piece suits, like you said, the flipper movements. It does intimidate me a little bit. You know, if I bumped into him in the street.
There's Gorka's got a new job at SeaWorld. Hey, what if we changed his name to Gorky the Dandy Whale?
I like that even better. Yeah, Dandy sort of captures it, right? The accent.
All right, I'm going to stop. We got listeners. We got callers. I'm very rude. Marcos in California, you're on the air with the Dark Lord, Nick Fuentes.
How you doing, Alex?
Welcome, sir.
Yeah. So yesterday I met George Papadopoulos. Just wanted to say that. And my Twitter name is Mark Black, MarkBlaqqq. But my question for Nick Fuentes is that ongoing battle with Owen Benjamin. It's pretty hilarious, but I don't think it serves the movement very well by having it divided. And Charlie Kirk, he does focus on the Russiagate scandal, and you kind of just make it about yourself. And that's it.
Okay.
Well, I got to be honest. I don't know what any of that was, but I'm not putting you down, Marcos. I'm just not in on all the DL stuff going on. I know Gorka looks like a gay whale. I know that.
Yeah. It sounds like one of Owen Benjamin's followers. Owen Benjamin, I believe, is homosexual and Jewish or something. So it sounds like some strange, crazed individual. So, yeah, I would just dismiss that. Sounds like a bunch of mentally retarded stuff going on there.
So we're up again. Oh, my gosh. What if you cross Owen Benjamin with Gorka the gay whale? No, yeah, Owen Benjamin is he's a big guy. He's been here in studio. Nice. He's a nice fella. Come on. Maybe I should host a debate between you and Owen Benjamin.
Yeah, sure. If he would show up to this one. He fled. I tried to challenge him to a debate. He tried to make it about the moon or something. But honestly, I think he's a pretty sick guy. You know, he's a pretty sick and disturbed individual. You know, this is somebody who threatened to kill me, talks about my family. But I think it's a lot of projection. You know, his father's homosexual. I think he's a homosexual. I think he jerks off with guys. He said that at one point. He's like 25.
Okay, let's stop. I didn't mean to open the Pandora's box with the gay whale joke.
Yeah, sure.
I don't actually think Gorka's. It was just a joke. Because the name's like Gorka, Orca, and I tried to say something he wouldn't like. Because he's been called a whale, I'm sure, a lot. Not because of fatness, just the whaley name. And then you had the little gay whale to it. It's funny. Okay. I don't want them putting chemicals in the water that turn the orcas and the Gorkas gay. All right, Marcos. Thank you. Matthew in Montana. Matthew, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my call. Now, my son, he's a big fan of Nicholas Fuentes, and he showed me Nicholas Fuentes, and ever since then, I call myself a Groyper. I'm 54 years old. I'm on Twitter. I'm Boomer Groyper on Twitter, and I just want to say God bless you, Nicholas Fuentes, and God bless you, Alex Jones, Owen Benjamin. God bless America.
Exactly. I don't want to fight with Gorka. I don't want to fight with Benjamin. I don't want to fight with Fuentes. I do kind of want to fight with Hillary, but, you know. But, I mean, it's just like, well, why do you think we should make America great again? What's wrong with that?
Well, here's the thing, too. We don't want to fight with any of these people, but they're the ones that want to try to keep us under heel because they know that we're not going to heal. We're not going to cater to whatever Republican message that they want to put out or whatever they want to push. We're going to be our own independent voices, and they don't want that out there. They want to have a vacuum of information on the conservative.
They want to be in charge. I mean, who the hell? If somebody showed up at one of my events and said, you did this, I'd let them talk. It's interesting.
I literally held an event, and one of my own people bullhorned me down. I said, okay, fine. It's like, okay, it's free speech, man. You bullhorn me. And people loved it. So I think we should get them all. Let's get Kirk. Let's get Benjamin. Let's get...
I tell people call in that disagree because it's more interesting.
Hey, wait, I've never met Shapiro, since we're having fun. How many Shapiros stacked does it take to reach one Benjamin?
I don't know. Is that like 2 or 3 or 4? I think Ben Shapiro's like, what, 5 feet tall?
At least 2.5.
Let's not be mean to Ben Shapiro. I just always love how every video says he devastates. The intellect is incredible. No, but he's got like just a few lines over and over again.
Ben Shapiro put out a tweet in 2016 before Trump was elected saying all the Trump supporters were Nazis. He called you a Nazi.
Well, he's called me a lot more than that.
Mike Cernovich and a bunch of people. And here's the sad thing, Alex. These were influential people that helped get Trump in office, and because of Republican Inc., they've now been censored off the internet, and they're now gone.
No, it's true.
If you look at the names Ben Shapiro called a Nazi in 2016. Ben Shapiro actually fighting Nazis. I mean, give me a break. Half of them are removed off the internet.
All I know is the only real Nazi in America is George Soros, and he's running the whole damn show. Matthew, thank you, sir. God bless you. Say hi to your son for us. Let's move quickly here. You guys got to call back. Who's holding the longest? Fred in Illinois. Fred in Illinois, go ahead.
Hi, am I on?
Yes, sir.
Oh, cool. Hey, Nick, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Hey, so I'm not the biggest fan, but I don't agree with everything you say, but I really appreciate what you've been doing. Exposing this conservative Inc. College tour racket. Really putting these people in the limelight, showing they always say that spotlight is the best disinfectant.
Well, their hysterical response is what's destroyed them. I mean, I'm telling you, you heard it here, folks. They're done. I mean, they have really screwed the pooch, jumped the shark.
No. Kirk just launched a new special called Prove Me Wrong. I'm dead serious.
Mm-hmm.
He just launched it.
You're joking.
I'm dead serious, Alex.
That's Steven Crowder, though.
Well,
no, we have one called Prove Me Wrong.
No. I'm just.
But ours is kind of off him.
Charlie Kirk did Culture Wars and then Prove Me Wrong. I think Charlie Kirk should come on the show, and you should do a roundtable with Fuentes.
I was on an airplane with him back from the RNC. He seemed like a nice guy, I just don't even. I'm just sick of it all.
Look, I don't.
Wait. We just launched a website a few weeks ago, and the show's called Prove Me Wrong. What is it? .show.
Yes,
that's the new show that Rex is going to do. I did one.
And then Prove Me Wrong featuring Charlie Kirk comes out the next day. It's kind of like there's 10 war rooms now, which is fine. I mean, it's fine.
Well, that's true that Bannon just...
Bannon has one. Trump has one. Facebook has one. There's another one out there, too.
Well, it is a great name.
Yeah.
That's why I named it that.
There it is.
War room. They got firepower. All right. Listen, I got to jump here. I apologize to Jordan and Carlo. Well, let's do it. We got a minute and a half. Carlo in Florida, you got anything you want to say to Ebel Fuentes? Go ahead.
Oh, shit. Hey, what's up? Big fan, both of you guys. Shout out to the Groypers. I had a question on the whole anti-Semitism.
Okay, go ahead, ask it.
So pretty much anytime you try to question the narrative of the Holocaust or anything like that, you get labeled anti-Semite, which is an infringement on, First Amendment. But then there are issues like Simon Wiesenthal, the Nazi hunter, who is admitted at lying about the 5 million non-Jew deaths. You can find these articles on pro-Jewish websites, so I'm not just making it up.
Yeah, listen, I'm not cutting you off because this is so devastating. I actually just want to fall asleep when I hear this stuff. I mean, I am so sick of World War II. I'm so sick of all of it. I mean, I just want to find the cure to cancer. But do you have a question? Well, we're out of time. We'll have to do this again. Nick Fuentes, you're on the show, my show tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Look forward to that. I may disagree with some of the things you've said, like you disagree with me. It doesn't mean you should be banned. Anybody that says that is a danger. Michelle Malkin is not Hitler. And, Nick, how do people find your work?
You can find me on YouTube. It's America First with Nicholas J. Fuentes, and Twitter at Nick J. Fuentes. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm a big fan of your show.
Thank you, Owen. Thanks for having us. And I got to tell you, firepower's coming up.
Probably get banned soon, too.
InfoWars Life has done it again with undoubtedly our biggest breakthrough yet, Super Silver Whitening Toothpaste. The patented nano silver technology is in Super Silver toothpaste. No other toothpaste has this. This is recognized as the top silver in the world and is approved for over-the-counter sale. The patented nano silver has been proven to kill bacteria and the bacteria that cause gingivitis. It comes loaded with another key ingredient, above sea calcium carbonate, which is known to not just whiten the teeth, but re-mineralize them. Super Silver Whitening Toothpaste is 100% natural, BPA-free, and doesn't have any harsh chemicals or ingredients like almost all of the other leading whitening toothpaste. This is literally a revolution when it comes to knocking out bacteria, cleaning up your teeth, having healthier gums, taking care of your body, recalcifying your teeth, and so much more. And it funds the information war against the globalist, making this toothpaste the most important, powerful, best toothpaste on the planet. These beautiful tubes of Super Silver toothpaste are available at an introductory price of 25% off out of the gates. It's as low as we can go, and they're going to sell out very, very quickly. This is proprietary. This is with the top lab in the country, and it is incredibly high quality. This is the best toothpaste you're going to find. It's called whitening toothpaste, but really it knocks out the bacteria, it recalcifies the teeth, it does so many things on so many fronts. I want to thank my dad, a retired dentist, for helping develop it. Get yours today at InfoWarsLife.com. My fellow freedom lovers, I'm very excited to bring you Vaso Beats. I've been wanting a beet formula for years because they're popular, they're bestsellers, because people like them and they really work. It's on record that beets are good for healthy liver, helps support athletic performance, supports healthy blood vessels. The list goes on and on. Cardiovascular and heart health supports, one of the biggest, why it's called Vaso Beats, helps support the body's natural nitric oxide production. Ooh, that is the biggie. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Vaso Beats is a concentrated beet extract. You'd have to eat a lot of beets to get what you get in each dropper full of this. Take it out of the tongue so you absorb it into your bloodstream. Get Vaso Beats today, our latest product, at InfoWarsLife.com, and take care of yourself, take care of your family. It's great for all ages and support the info war in the face of the globalist. Vaso Beats at InfoWarsLife.com. And right now we're running a special 50% off on Vaso Beats with free shipping and double Patriot points.